In mathematics, most often we need prime numbers, and that's why in this video we're going to discuss prime numbers. Let's say there are two numbers as A and B. So we'll say B is divisible by A. Let's say B is divisible by A. If B is divisible by A, so A can be called as a factor of B. Now A is a factor of B because B is divisible by A. A number which is having only two factors is called as a prime number. A number which is having only two factors is called as a prime number. And from those two factors, the first factor should be 1 always, and the second factor should be the number itself. So if a number is a prime number, so it's always having only two factors. The one factor is 1 and the other factor is the number itself. So if some number is having more than two factors, that is not a prime number. Okay, so first of all, let's check 1. 1 is having only one factor, that is 1. So 1 is not having two factors, it is having only one factor, that is 1. So 1 is not a prime number. Okay, then let's try to figure out the prime numbers from 1 to 10. Okay, then 2. 2 is having the factor 1 and also 2 is having the factor 2. And those are the only two factors which 2 have. So that means 2 is a prime number. Then let's move on to 3. 3 is having the factor 1 and also 3 is having the factor 3. But 2 is not a factor of 3 because 3 is not divisible by 2. So 1 and 3 are the only two factors which 3 has. That means 3 is a prime number. Okay, then let's move on to 4. Always any number is having 1 as one of its factors. So 4 is also having the factor 1 and the number itself, that means 4. And also we can see that 4 is divisible. 4 is an even number, that means 4 is divisible by 2. So 2 is also a factor of 4. That means 4 is having 3 factors. So 4 is not a prime number. Then let's move on to 5. 5 is also having the factor 1 and the number itself, that is 5. So yeah, 5 is not divisible by 2 since that is not an even number. 5 is not divisible by 3, so and also not by 4. So 1 and 5 are the only two factors of 5. So that means 5 is a prime number. After that, let's move on to 6. 6. There's no need to say 6 is not a prime number because 6 is an even number. From all the even numbers, the only even number which becomes a prime number is 2. The rest of the even numbers are always not prime numbers. So just we can omit 6 here. Then let's move on to 7. 7 is not an even number, so we cannot leave it directly. So after that, we need to check the factors of 7. 7 is also having the factor 1 and the number itself. So 7 is also there. And 1 and 7 are the only two factors of 7. That means 7 becomes a prime number. After that, we are moving to 8. 8 is an even number, so it cannot be a prime number. Then 9. Let's check 9. 9 is also having the the factor 1, the factor 9, the number itself. And also we all know that 9 is divisible by 3. So 3 is also a factor of 9. That means 9 is not a prime number. After that, let's move on to 10. 10, we all know 10 is divisible by 5. So that means 5 is a factor of 10 and 1 and 10 is also there. That means 10 cannot be a prime number. So here now we have figured out the prime numbers from 1 to 10. They are the 2, 3, 5 and 7. Okay, now we're going to find out the prime numbers from 10 to 20. So the first thing is to remove the even numbers because even numbers cannot be prime numbers except 2. Okay, so 10 is an even number, 12, 14, 16, 18 and 20. Those all are even numbers of the set, so we can remove them because they cannot be. So now all the even numbers has been removed. Okay, then let's start with 11. 11, we know 1 is always a factor of any number. So 1 is there and the number itself. So 11 is also a factor of 11. And we know now those are the only two factors of 11. So that means 11 is a prime number because it is having only two factors. Then let's move on to 13. 13, here also 1 is a factor and the number itself. So 13 is also a factor of 13. And those are the only two factors for 13, 1 and 13. So since it is having only two factors, 13 is a prime number. After that, let's move on to 15. 15, we know 15 is a multiple of 3 and 15 is a multiple of 5 because 3 into 5 is 15. So that means 3 and 5 are factors of 15. So in prime numbers, I have told you that the two factors should be 1 and the number itself. But here we can see this is not 1 and this is not the number itself. This is not 15 and there's two more additional factors here. That means this cannot be a prime number. So then let's move on to 17. 17, it is not a multiple of 3, it is not a multiple of 5. So we'll try to find out the multiples of 17. We'll try to find out the factors of 17. 1 should be there and 17 should be there. And those are the only two factors of 17. So that means 17 is a prime number. And finally, let's move on to 19. And for 19 also, 1 is a factor and 19 is also a factor. And those are the only two factors for 19. So 19 is also a prime number. So finally, we have figured out all the prime numbers from 10 to 20. So the first one is 11, next 13, next 17, and finally that is 19. Now we are going to find out the prime numbers from 20 to 30. So first of all, we can just remove all the even numbers from the set because I have told you the only even number which is a prime number is 2. There's no more even numbers which can be a prime number. So 20 is not a prime number, 22 is not, 24 is not, 26 is also an even number, so it is not a prime number, 28 is also not, and 30 is also not. Okay, then after that, let's move on to the remaining numbers. 21 is there and we all know 21 is a multiple of 3 and 21 is a multiple of 7. So that means 3 and 7 also becomes the factors of 21 and there's 1 and 21 also. So there are more than two factors for 21. That means 21 is also not a prime number. So 23, let's move on to 23. 23 is not an even number. 23 is not divisible by 3. It is not a multiple of 3. So we need to check the factors of 23. We know 1 is always a factor and the number itself. So 23 is also a factor of 23. Yeah, and that's all the factors of 23, 1 and 23 only. That means there are only two factors to 23. So 23 is a prime number. Let's move on to 25. Here you can see 25 is a multiple of 5, right? Is a multiple of 5. So that means 5 is a factor, 1 is always a factor, and the number itself, 25, is also a factor of 25. That means this cannot be a prime number. Then let's move on to 27. We all know 27 is a multiple of 3. So 3 is a factor of 27 and 9 into 3 is 27. That means 9 is a factor of 27 and 1 is there and 27 is also there. So 27 cannot be a prime number. Then finally, let's move on to 29. 29, it is not an even number. It is not a multiple of 3. It is not a multiple of 5. So what are the factors of 29? 1 is there and the number itself. So 29 is also there. And those are the only two factors for 29. So that means 29 is a prime number. So now we have figured out the prime numbers from 20 to 30. So those are 23 and 29 only.